Thank you for joining us this Sunday for Coffee Talk. We have a very, very interesting guest. Again, thank you for coming back, Sandra.
We enjoyed our conversation with Sandra Perron, talking about her experience with the military and her book that's going to be made into a movie. And today we want to talk about what Sandra's working on today, because, you know, this heart that is as big as the giant world is helping other people and helping us all to rise, educating us, inspiring us to want to do more to help others. So talk about what you've been working on, Sandra, since you decided that things needed to shift again.
So when I launched this book, just before launching it, I talked to the Minister of National Defense, Harjit Sajjan, and we went out for supper, and I invited him to my launch, and I said, will you come? And he said, yes. And I said, but you haven't read the book. It's not a very pretty story. And he said, we're not going to let you down a second time.
Oh, wow.
And so this is important because I had over 350 people at my launch, most of whom were military. 7 of the top 9 female generals were at my book launch. And at that moment, I thought, I want to continue this. I miss the military. I want to continue this link. I had sat on board of directors and governors for the military college, for the Pearly Rideau Veterans Health Center, for the commissionaires, you know, helping veterans have a soft landing when they leave the military to find jobs. I think those are all really worthwhile organizations. And now I want to help female veterans transition out of the military, because I know how hard it is to leave the career that you've been doing.
Yes.
And that your whole life has been centered around. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm working on, to help women transition out of the military.
Well, it must require so many services. I mean, on so many layers, we're providing some kind of landing or some kind of transition. So how does that work?
Yeah, so the military does a really good job with the second career assistant courses and network scan. With the logistics, the administrative, you know, preparing a CV for a new job, all the logistics side of things, they do really well. What I have found is that women do not have the network of women because they've moved around so many times. Mm-hmm. They don't have access to groups of women that will help them through a certain period of their life. They're leaving the military sometimes after 30, 35 years. Their kids have grown, their bodies have changed, and the network of women is so crucial, because we're really good at that, to help each other in those periods of our life, you know, first periods, pregnancy, breakups. Mm-hmm. And so this transition is crucial to have a good supportive network, and that's what I'm working on. I've developed a kind of retreat for women. We're going to have our first cohort in December.
What does that look like? What is it?
So it's really just 8 women for 2.5 days getting together, doing certain exercises, developing a very deep and profound bond and friendship, and getting the resources that they need to move to the next step and to become civilians.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And are you getting support from where you need to get support?
The government. This is a government-funded program?
It's actually not government-funded yet. We have a proposal in, so we're working on that. We're getting help from just different organizations, the Defense Women's Advisory Organization, the Veterans Affairs. So we're recruiting all these people to help put this together, and it's coming to fruition in December. It's very exciting.
And it is very exciting. We thank you for being dedicated to that. I also want to share with you that Sandra mentioned the Pearly, and talk about your experience when you went to the Pearly to see the lay of the land, to get the lay of the land, to see how women vets were being treated.
So when I was kind of recruited to go to the Pearly Rideau board of directors for the foundation, they made me visit the whole Pearly Rideau, and I saw how much they knew about every single veteran, the wars that they had fought, the campaigns, the losses that they had suffered, and I was just hooked. I said, this is what we need to do for our veterans, you know, and so I said, hey, we have 40 female veterans at the Pearly, about 40. And I said, let's do something for International Women's Day. And they said, well, we've never done anything. I said, what do you mean? We have 40 female veterans. You've never celebrated International Women's Day? And they said, well, they've never been considered as combatants. And so I was like, well, okay. So we are going to have one heck of a party for these women because, yeah, they were radio operators and nurses. They weren't in combat per se, but we know that not all the battles were fought on the battlefield.
That's right.
And they deserve our gratitude, our respect, our admiration. So we had this big party last year on March 5th. We're having another one, March 5th in 2019. We're going to celebrate these women veterans because they're our pioneers. They paved the way for the likes of me to have a career in the military. And they are amazing women.
Now, one of the biggest topics discussed around vets when they leave the military is, PTSD is such a powerful force for so many people who have suffered trauma, who have seen things. What sort of support, can we help you to grow for women particularly?
Yeah, well, that's multifaceted, really. PTSD is so complex. Veterans Affairs, in my opinion, provides a very detailed and supportive network for veterans who have PTSD with all the tools. I think for me, what has helped the most is a close network of women, family, friends, colleagues to kind of balance those moments of anxiety. So I haven't talked about this very much. When I launched my book, my editor called me at 9:15 to say, your book has gone to printing. And at 10:15 I was in the hospital with anxiety. I'd never had anxiety before.
Really?
It was all new to me. It was like, what's happening? I'm having a heart attack. And he said, no, it's an anxiety attack. And I was later diagnosed with PTSD. And it was hard because I had been so solid all my life and I thought I'd made peace with everything that's in my book. And then I realized that I hadn't. I had just stowed all that stuff in my basement and it had all come out in my book and it was re-traumatizing. And so Veterans Affairs were amazing. I was followed by a psychologist and I was given all the tools necessary to become strong again, become solid, and it's been a wonderful journey. I'll probably live with PTSD all my life, but it's enabled me to have so much compassion for others, not just veterans, but others who have anxiety and post-traumatic stress injuries.
Is there some way that people watching today whose hearts are wide open right now, is there some way that we can support you? Is there some way people can help your cause?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, women need to be better mentors. We need to be the mentors that we never had, especially in non-traditional fields such as science, technology, engineering, math, defense, security. And even in traditional fields like finance and nursing, we need to be better mentors and allies and confidants and sisters in arms. We've never been taught that. As unique as our gift is for those moments in our life that we can support each other as women, in the workplace, we can be our own worst enemies.
Yes.
That has to stop.
Yes.
In every area, we have to be better sisters in arms.
Kind to each other.
I
Yes.
think that's a beautiful note to
Yeah.
end this conversation, which could go on for weeks, months, and years, Sandra. There's so much. I want to
Gotta
encourage
buy the
you
book.
to read this book by Sandra Perron, Outstanding in the Field, a memoir by Canada's first female infantry officer. You will not regret it. You will grow as a person from reading it. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing with us today. And we salute you and we thank you for your continued service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Sandra.
you.